Our data from the CDC today suggests, that vaccinated people do not carry the virus, don't get sick, and that it's not just in the clinical trials, but it's also in real-world data.
Okay, that was CDC Director Rochelle Walensky 1 year ago yesterday, saying that vaccinated people will not get sick and that they can't spread the coronavirus. Clearly, she was wrong about that. Fast forward to today, and adults over 50 are now being told to get a second booster shot. But have the American people lost faith in not only the CDC, but many of our medical leaders, like Dr. Anthony Fauci? Joining us now for more is former CDC Director Dr. Richard Besser. Dr. Besser, great to have you back on this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Rob. Good to be here.
Dr. Besser, I'm wondering where you come down on this. Should people over 50 years old just line up like lemmings and get the fourth booster shot like many did when it came to the third booster shot?
You know, Rob, what I think people need to do is talk to their doctor, assess their own risk. What the FDA and CDC did yesterday was they authorized the vaccine for people who are over 50, for people who have immune deficiencies. I think that we're in a very different situation than we were a year ago. In most communities in America, the levels of COVID are extremely low compared to where they were a year ago, and they're moving in the right direction. One of the big concerns is that the Omicron B2 variant that is now spreading in the United States will cause some surges. But what I'd encourage people to do is assess their own risk, talk to their doctor about whether a booster is right for them, and then pay close attention to what's going on in their community. One of the things that has been found is that after the booster, after the third shot, after about 4 months, the level of protection for severe illness goes down. But if you're in an area where there's not much COVID going on, you may find that your doctor says, let's wait and see what's going on in the community. Right. And if there's another surge, then maybe that's the time to go. But if you get the fourth shot, it's not clear how long the protection lasts. The data for this authorization
Dr.
came
Besser,
from limited data in Israel.
It is. You're right. It's been very, very confusing, especially when it comes to some of the data. And you can see Dr. Walensky, your colleague there, a year ago, and that was confusing at that time. I remember covering that when she said that. My point is that people were advised to get a third booster shot 6 months ago. So 6 months from now, could we be talking about a fifth booster shot? My point is, at this rate, so Joe Biden got his fourth booster, his fourth COVID shot on TV yesterday, telling the American people, especially people that are over 50, to maybe get the fourth shot. If we keep on this current trajectory, Joe Biden would be at a 10th booster by the time we get to the 2024 election. Is that where we're heading?
Well, your question's a good one. Is what is the long-term strategy for protection? And with a new infectious disease, you're playing in an area where you don't know what the future will bring. The FDA is pulling together their group of advisors next week for that very question, to plan out a long-term strategy. What I expect is going to happen, Rob, is something very similar to what we see with the flu, where each year there is a decision made in terms of what is the best shot to get for protection, and then we move forward that way. I would expect that by the fall, there are booster shots for whatever variant is circulating. And it may be an Omicron strain, it may be a different strain. But I don't expect that we're going to be in a situation where every 4 months we're told to get a booster. That's not a tenable situation.
Well, if you have an opinion on that, if you're able to weigh in on that, I would advise calling it a COVID shot instead of a booster, because we have a flu shot. I think people can wrap their heads around that in an easier way. And I would tell Joe Biden that if he's going to get a fifth booster 6 months from now, maybe don't do it on TV. Just do it. He's almost 80 years old. I get it, especially for that age group. I want to get your reaction to this, especially as the former director of the CDC. The GOP came out with a report this week that's accusing the CDC of giving teachers' unions, quote, unprecedented access to CDC data before anyone else, before the general public. Is that, you were the director, is that common CDC practice?
Well, one of the things that is common is that as CDC is working on guidance, as CDC is working on recommendations, all of the stakeholders who are involved are brought together to look at the information, to help weigh in on what the recommendations will be. I was involved many times over the course of my time at CDC in developing recommendations for healthcare facilities. I led the area in terms of Legionnaire's disease.
Right.
And we would pull together the hospital organizations, the nursing organizations, the doctor organizations, patient organizations, to talk about what we were planning, to share the data, to share information, to make sure that there weren't things that we should be considering that we were not. But those deliberations were always public meetings. There were information where people could see.
Dr. Besser,
and it's very important that all of the critical stakeholders are brought in. So if you're planning recommendations for schools, that you have teacher groups, parent groups, all of the relevant groups that are there together.
I agree with that. I just, from an outsider's perspective, it doesn't seem right. It looks like the teachers' unions, which, by the way, major donors to Joe Biden's 2020 campaign, were calling the shots on whether schools stayed open or closed for over 2 years. 3 separate school years were affected by this. Is that at least unusual?
Well, I think it's really important to have all stakeholders involved. And so if you're rapidly changing school guidance, you would want to have involved in that, in a very open process, all of the critical stakeholders. And that includes parents, that includes unions, that includes teachers, it includes community leaders. All of those groups are really important so that the decisions you make are appropriate.
Okay, Dr. Besser, always a pleasure having you on. I enjoy the conversation. Thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.